Hey everybody, this is Julie Quinn here, and I'm going to go over, I'm actually in the announcements right now, and I'm looking at the schedule for our class, and I just wanted to show you for the 8-week course, starting, well actually let's finish Module 2. Module 2 content, your main post for your the weekly discussion was due on the 26th, and the responses will be due on Sunday the 29th. And then your major assignments will be due on Sunday the 29th as well. You have the 2-4 quiz, which shouldn't be too problematic for you, and your 2-5 project. That's the presentation, the creative writing, or the paper on the two readings. I think one was the King James Bible versus another creation myth, and the other one was allegory/parable of the cave. Right? So remember, those are going to be due by tonight. Now, with that out of the way, I wanted to show you a little bit of a switch in what's happening in the upcoming modules. These are the big modules where we move more into the modern short stories. Note that you will have closer to 2 weeks for these assignments. Okay, so these early modules are just a week each to orient you to the class and precursors to the short story. Those are modules 1 and 2. And now we're moving into Module 3, so let me show you a little bit about that. Okay, 19th century short story. What you've got in this are overview, discussion of literary elements of a short story, literary, sorry, the 3-3 readings, 19th century short story, and then the discussion. You're going to be reading Edgar Allan Poe's The Cask of Amontillado. So those of you that are really interested in Poe or interested in horror, this one is right up your alley. Then we've got a discussion on James's Daisy Miller. You'll see those readings embedded right here into the 19th century short story content. And then, of course, just like we normally do, we've got quizzes and a project. So let's take a peek. The overview is just a quick reminder of what's actually going to be discussed in the course readings. And then after you knock out your overview, you've got a discussion of literary elements. It's actually less of a discussion and more of like a reference page, right? For the different terms and techniques. You were introduced to a few of them in Module 1. But this is just a reminder, terms like crux or climax or protagonist and so on. Okay. Now, you've got a collection of readings, and this is the reason why the week is set up, or the module, is set up for 2 weeks. Maupassant's The Diamond Necklace, Herman Melville's Bartleby the Scrivener. You've got Arthur Conan Doyle's Scandal in Bohemia, Hugo's The Overcoat. There's Henry James's Daisy Miller and Edgar Allan Poe's The Cask of Amontillado. These are going to have discussions around them, but remember, your other assignments and quizzes will refer to the other readings. Okay, so just make sure that you do them all. I would do 3 or 4 in 1 week, and then I would do the other 3 in the following week. Okay. In addition, we've got a subgenre of domestic fiction, which is Gilbert and Gubar's The Mad Woman in the Attic, and The Yellow Wallpaper by Gilman. So this is where you're going to spend the majority of your time. Let me recommend that you print these texts out. Let's take a look at one of them, for example. You take this text. It's in the middle of a collection of other texts. So what you could do, it's not crazily long, but what you could do is highlight it. Make sure that I get my highlights correct here. There we go. You could copy this, you could paste it into a Word document, and then print it out that way. I think it's a lot easier to take notes on texts when you are able to engage with them on a hard copy. Then we have the discussion of Cask of Amontillado. Then we have the discussion of Daisy Miller. And if you go back, you'll see that one discussion is due June 16th, and the other one's due the next week, so you don't have to just do all of the readings in 1 week. Okay? So it looks like Daisy Miller's first and Cask of Amontillado is second, I believe. Just double check. Yep. Daisy Miller's first. No, excuse me. The opposite is true. Cask is first, and that makes sense. And then Daisy Miller is second. Looks like some of you have already started to hop on and do that work. The final things to think about, you've got the quiz. I would take this toward the end of week 4 of the class, and then you've got your project. So you'll notice that there's a mirroring in the project assignments for tackling one of the additional readings that you were that appealed to you or stood out to you in some particular way. Option 1 are the 750 to 1,000 word essays. Option 2, the 10 to 12 slides. Option 3, creative writing assignment in the vein of the particular text. Okay. So take a look at this. I'm going to go over this in more detail in the upcoming weeks, but I want you to see that this is here. In addition to this, it is really important that you go back into the modules, and you know that, I know this is just a more of an introduction to week 3/module 3, and we have 2 weeks to go. So at the beginning of next week, I'm going to remind you of the midterm and what it takes to do the midterm and how that is set up, where you go for that, and all of that. But I wanted to remind you that this is the module that's coming up as a double week module. You have one discussion for week 3, one discussion for week 4. You also have a quiz, and you have a project, which you can start a little bit early, because by the end of week 4, you also have to complete, double checking in my brain. By the end of week 4, you also have to complete your midterm. So it's important to do all of those readings. All right. If you have any questions based on the setup of this module, and the weeks and the readings, all you have to do is reach out. Be on the lookout for more announcements later in the week where we go through particular stories together, and I can show you how to do deep dive reading into 19th century short stories.